Peace, family. This is Iyapo, and this is Iyapo Yapa. Um, I'm going to start this out a little differently this time because I, as you know, I think all my subscribers are spectacular, and I thank you for subscribing. And I do welcome your comments. But I have received a few comments that I find a little disturbing, frankly, kind of upsetting. I've been told that when I'm doing my presentations that I often veer off topic, and that I need to focus more. And I just found that very upsetting because I stay focused. Okay, I'm about the most focused person that you'll. Brother, dude, my nails need clipped. Peace, fam. Welcome again to Iyapo Yapa. Iyapo Yapa is an acronym. It stands for, if you aren't pissed off, you aren't paying attention. For those of you who I told I would have a video up yesterday, I do apologize. This is the one that I was this is the one that I was saying that I was going to do. And it's in reference to the one that I just did prior that was talking about us having to suffer. You may want to watch the other one. I'll try to do this in a way that you won't need to watch it if you don't want to, if you don't have the time. But I'll try to keep this a little more concise. In terms of suffering, going right into it. In terms of suffering to get what we need, and this is speaking in terms of reparations. I'll say it a little more plainly like this. For decades and decades, the way that the different parties, Democrats and Republicans, who are both two sides of the same coin, the way Democrats have always scared our people into voting for them, or voting against our own interests, is that we always had a boogeyman that they would scare us with. In this case, it was Trump. And this is, let me give this disclaimer. This is in no way in support of Donald Trump. I'm just explaining something. Now, if you have a candidate like Bernie Sanders, okay, and it doesn't necessarily have to be at a presidential level. This can be like at local level. It doesn't matter how low you go. But I'm just using Bernie Sanders as an example because he's a prime example. He is not for giving reparations to our people, even though he assisted with giving reparations for survivors of the Holocaust who we did nothing to. He was saying that the subject of reparations is divisive, and that's something that could never get passed.
A lot of African Americans are starting to call for reparations for the many years of stolen labor through slavery. Is that something that you would support as president?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be, first of all, its likelihood of getting through a Congress is nil. Second of all, I think it would be, very divisive.
Well, there are a lot of people who do think that they can get passed, but that's neither here nor there. What we would do, or what we need to do, as single issue voters, is to tell a Bernie Sanders that since you are against reparations, there's no way that you're going to get my support. In turn, what Bernie Sanders would do, or his team would do, is tell us, well, no, we're not for reparations, but if you don't support us, you're going to end up with Trump. This is the trap. And that's where they get us every single time. is because they present us with a boogeyman to be afraid of and scare us into voting for them or into supporting them. Okay, but at some point we have to get to that place where they say, well, if you don't vote for us, then you're going to end up with 4 more years of Trump. To which we look at them and say, okay. No blinking. No nothing. Just tell them, okay. Because the point is, there's no way we're ever going to support you again, ever, until you give our people what we have coming to us, which is reparations. And if we have to go through some pain, then we'll go through some pain to get it. And one of the advantages of being at the very bottom of the heap, the very bottom of the heap that the United States put us at, okay, is that we don't have that far to fall. Yeah, it hurts when we fall. But for America, when things take a downturn, for like middle America, when things take a downturn, it's like jumping off of a 3rd story or higher building. When those same things happen in the economy to our people, it's like jumping off the curb. Because we're already freaking down there. So black people in the United States should be the most fearless people on the face of the earth. Because there's nothing more that you can do to it. What else can you do to us? You freaking enslave us, you rape us, you beat us, you lynch us. You use systemic racism against us. You oppress the hell out of us. What more can you do? To which they would argue, there's always more. Yeah, but we're already at the bottom. There's not too much further you can go. After I close my eyes and you blindfold me and turn all the lights out in the room, how much darker can it get? And that's the point. There's just so much that they can do to us. Yes, technically things could always get worse. But it'll continually stay bad under them too. And that's what they don't want us to know or to understand. So we have to be willing to go through the aches and pains while we're letting them know that we mean business. DACA comes to mind. They let the government shut down. I'm going to do some deep research on DACA because we have to know and we have to realize that these people, and I'm talking about our elected officials, don't ever do anything out of the interest of the people. They couldn't care less. They don't care. The people who shut down the government do not care about immigrants one way or the other. They don't care. They don't care. So it has to do with something else. It has to do with some kind of money, because you always follow the money. And then you can get to where you need to get to and find out what's really going on. You have to follow the money. But I'm going to find out what's going on with this DACA. And then, and I know this is something I should have already researched, but frankly, it doesn't affect our people per se. But the reason I want to research it is to find out why the Republicans are so gung-ho for getting rid of it, and the Democrats are so gung-ho about keeping it. Because it has something to do with money, or it has something to do with power or votes. It has nothing to do with helping anybody, any people. You better believe that. It doesn't have anything to do with helping regular people of any kind. It's all about some kind of money, power, or votes. All right. So the way that I connect. The way that I connect this DACA, and like I said, you have to study some more about it and then make a new share. But the way that I see it right now, for those who are fighting hard for it, and those who are fighting hard against it, as I said, we have to find out what's causing them to fight so hard for or against it. Once we discover that, then we can use that as a tool to get what we want as far as reparations go. Because something is happening, that they're willing to shut down the government. You think they're going to shut down the government on a reparations bill? Maybe they will. If we get our stuff together and figure out how to exert the type of political pressure on either the Democrats or the Republicans that will force them to strongly support us getting reparations to the point that they will let the government shut down. But again, it has zero to do, and I'm going to keep pounding this in. It has zero to do with them trying to do right by us. Zero. It has everything to do with them covering their own ass. It has everything to do with their own job. It has everything to do with their money or their position. It has nothing to do with us. So it doesn't matter how they feel about us. It doesn't matter how they feel about our place in society. It doesn't matter how they feel about whether this is fair, because it doesn't have anything to do with it. It's all about them. That's the key. It's like when you're going to someone, say to go into a partnership, or you're trying to sell something to someone. You never go to them telling them what it would mean to you for them to buy your idea, for them to buy your product. You tell them what your product will do for them. You tell them how this will help them. And then you start getting on the road to getting that sale. Because ultimately, all a person cares about is their self, or these people rather. All they care about is their selves, and they're ruled by self-interest, and their God is money. So that's what we have to figure out. That's what we have to figure out. And then move forward. All right, so I got excited. But this video is to explain what I meant about us having to suffer and the power that is in that. Just remember, when politicians, when leaders try to scare you into voting against your own interest. And I mentioned how back in the 80s, the pro-lifers, who were typically from the Christian right, they started exerting force on their elected officials, and they became one-issue voters. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about the economy. They didn't care about immigration. They didn't care about squat except what is your stance on abortion. And it literally changed the political landscape in America. Okay, it changed the political landscape. We have to do that same thing. Doesn't matter doesn't matter about immigration, doesn't matter about abortion, doesn't matter about anything except reparations. What is your stance on reparations? And if you aren't talking right, then we got a problem, or you have one rather, because you're not going to get our support. And when we start doing this en masse, because we are more than 13% of the population, that's a fallacy that they use to make us feel that we're not as powerful in number as we are. Everything is designed, you have to understand, everything is designed to keep us thinking that we're powerless. Okay, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Okay? But all of that said, when we become single issue voters, single issue supporters, I even appeal to those of you who don't think that we can ever get reparations. Okay, if you don't believe, what will it hurt to just get on our side with us and push for them. What will it hurt? Okay? It might cost you some of your time. It might cost you some of your effort or energy. Not a lot, but you have to get with us. We have to have a united front. We have to get together, and we have to go after this thing. And we have to go after it hard. Okay? And the thing is that, like I said, we exert this pressure and let them know we mean business. That is everything. You have to let people know you mean business. You can't just waver back and forth and we're going to end up with Trump if we don't vote for this person, or we're going to end up with. It doesn't matter. We're screwed no matter what. We're screwed no matter who gets in office. So what does it matter? What does it matter? So what we do is we tell people, like a Bernie Sanders, well, you know what? You may have the votes of like the Hispanic community. You may have the votes of white people or socialists, and so, but you do not have the votes of all of us black people, us sea of black people, who could turn the tide for you, because you won't vote for our reparations or work for them. So we're going to find someone who will. And we're going to put all of that force behind them. Thank you. So that's what we have to do. We have to start finding out who our representatives are. We need to start asking them, how do you feel about reparations? What is your stance? And if they're not talking right, then we say, okay, well, we're going to find somebody to put all of our force behind, all of our considerable force behind. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it here. I didn't want it to run too long. It probably has, but I sure do love your family. For those of you who I see in the different live streams, it's just always great to even just see your names pop up and to converse with you. And that's about it. You want to buy this black? I'll give you the lab to Amazon so that you can buy that. Sister Aja Lee has written a love letter to our people, 500 and some pages long. So it's a wonderful read. And what's the last thing I want? I have the new bumper music that's on there. It's something I wrote. It's called Velocity. Give me your opinion. Let me know what you think of it. And that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, as always, I love you. Peace and blessings, and much, much love and respect. Peace. One issue.